Hello, welcome back to BSLIVE. Today we'll be doing 3D therapy sessions. We're gonna be creating a vase using Nomad Sculpt, and also maybe we're gonna be painting using Procreate. Alright, so let's get started. I go to full screen. So we have Nomad Sculpt here. So Nomad is usually, you use this to do like a 3D sculpting, right? And by default you get this sphere. But today we're gonna do a little bit of 3D modeling. It sounds scary, but with Nomad, everything is actually kind of simple. And the tools, there are tools to create vase and things like anything that's revolved, like a bottle, and that's called Lathe. Okay, on the right side. So yeah, the idea is to use Lathe, and then okay, let's go to look at the left tab over there. You can see there's options like view, curve. In order to draw the vase, we're gonna use curve and just simply draw profile of the vase. Should be pretty simple, something like that, and suddenly you have a kind of like a bottle, like a vase. And by default it's looking pretty solid, but you can enable hole and then tap on the radius, and suddenly you have control over the thickness of the vase. Okay, so this is the idea, and you can go to the front view and then control the shape of the vase. Okay, so play around with this for a while until you are happy. If you can see, if you are selecting a point there, you can kind of make it overlap with other points and it's gonna merge, or you can just create a new point. So that's kind of cool. I think Vase is actually kind of like a relaxing for 3D therapy because it's really simple. Okay, so let's say you're happy with this. Adjust the thickness until you're happy, and you can validate. You can validate now or you can validate later. If you click on the validate there, it's gonna turn it into mesh. But for now, let's go to a new tool. It's called a tube. Just tap on the tube and again click on the curve on the left, and you can start drawing the handle. Oops, let's undo that. Just gonna draw the handle over here. We actually need, okay, I think maybe just validate our vase anyway. So, and then we're gonna switch to the tube tool and now actually draw the tube. Okay, that's the handle. We can turn on snapping. We can adjust our tube just like before. So that's the ear of our vase. We can also control the thickness. So there are multiple ways you can control the thickness. It's kind of nice to be able to do this. So currently the tool is actually working like a spline in Blender. So you can control the thickness that way. If I switch to Blender, actually maybe I'll do it later. Okay, I just turn on mirror, so we have on both sides, and then we can now validate. I should probably make, I should have made before I validate, I should make this a little bit deeper inside. We can use the gizmo, just move it to the center. Okay, this is better. We can now validate. Now in the scene we actually have two different objects. We can do a simple merge, or we can do like a voxel merge. Okay, with the voxel merge you have control over the resolutions. You can just tap on that and it's saving at the moment, and okay, it's done. So you can start do like a painting or sculpting over here. You can make this so that it's a little bit imperfect. I mean, you can use move tools and just move it slightly without symmetry to make it a little bit imperfect. And yep, you can perhaps even like do something fancy on the top there, make like a crown. Just adding a little bit of characteristic. So yeah, I think this is pretty good. You can do a bit more sculpting here, or you can just send it to Procreate and then just do like painting. Let's say if you want to do like sculpting a little bit, you can turn on symmetry, and I'll be maybe like drawing the eyeballs, like a donut eyeballs, and like sausage nose, just like another donut's shapes mouth, bit of teeth, eyebrow. Okay, so yeah, it's adding a little bit of personality to this character. With the eyeball, I like to make it like this and then use the sub tool and just make it deeper. So this is what I mean. I mean, the sculpting as a 3D therapy, it's pretty fun. You don't need to be afraid what you're gonna be creating. It's not all that complicated. So I just save this, and first, before I send it to Procreate for 3D painting, I will create a automatic UV. So in the workflow at the moment with Nomad Sculpt, you just let it do the UV unwrap for you automatically. So I just tap on the unwrap atlas. It's gonna do it for a few seconds. So if you're doing this 3D therapy on Blender, you can do the same thing with Lathe and to create a vase. With Blender, you have to know a few things, like there's a lot of tools in Blender, right? That's why it's a little bit more complicated if you're using Blender, but there's also more control. So you can start with a mesh and just do like a revolve, or you can use curve, whichever you like. I will be using curve. I just created a bezier, right? In Blender, you go to edit mode, select all. Usually I will delete the vertices, go back to the front view. This is how I will make like a vase if it's in Blender. I will use draw tools and just quickly draw our vase like that. So we have a curve. We can adjust it later, but we're gonna create a screw modifier and turn on merge. So it's gonna merge the curve when it's touching. Okay. Now if we go to edit mode and go to tab Z wireframe, so you can now adjust the curve. Okay, so that's the revolve. Of course, this is it's actually pretty thin. You need to solidify the vase. Okay, so that's second thing to know. And then if you want to create the handles, you can create another curve. Bezier, go to edit mode, delete everything, and then again do drawing. Just draw the handle like that, and then you go to spline, geometry, enable thickness, and at this point you can actually use the radius control similar to similar to Nomad Sculpt. You can adjust the handle. It's not always like, it doesn't look pretty by default. But you can adjust it. I think a better way is probably to use this mesh. Let's come back to Nomad. Okay, with Nomad, we have UV, auto UV done. The UV is not perfect. You can actually do a better UV in Blender. Automatic layout doesn't always give you efficient UV, but it's okay. Let's just send this to Procreate, export Procreate, export OBJ into Procreate. So now we are inside Procreate, and you can see the result here. I think maybe, okay, the bottom is actually hollow because of the voxelations. Something to keep in mind. Maybe when I'm drawing the screw, like maybe when I draw the lathe, I should have done it differently, or the voxel is not high enough. Anyway, now inside Procreate, we can do 3D painting. So we have the base layer. You can start by giving a color base layer, and I think with Procreate, I like all the selection of the brushes. I like to start with the painting or maybe artistic brush, and then start with the, just pick a brush and then just pick a color and start painting. We can always come back from Procreate into Nomad Sculpt. So this part is actually really fun, and this is where the 3D therapy actually started. You can paint also the inside of the vase. It's hollow at the moment. You can add it, the base later. Doesn't have to be perfect. Occasionally Procreate actually frozen. Maybe it's running out of memory. But Procreate tends to save every stroke, so you will never lose anything. So that's another thing. Kind of like a safety thing. You might also notice the handle is actually gone through the head of the vase, but it's okay. Just keep going. I think this is pretty fun, and if you're not happy, you can always repaint it. I'm just gonna be really expressive today. The brushes inside Procreate is like super beautiful, and just the way it works, it's just amazing. You can create something like that's looking really arty and beautiful very quickly. If you 3D print this, it's gonna look amazing. And you might need to do like repainting if it's 3D print and it doesn't have like the texture. So I've done with the base. Now I can create new layers, and I can start painting the details if you want to. I like calligraphy water pen actually in this case. Just draw maybe the eyeballs. Let's do pink color. I like to go crazy with colors. Different eye. Oops. Different eye colors. The nose, just give it orange color. Just mixing all the colors that you can think of. Purple lips or pink lips. Darker purple. The teeth, okay, let's just something simple. You can draw the teeth or just the inside of the mouth. Maybe both. Okay, maybe my brush is a little bit too soft. Switch to script. So this is harder looking brush. Make it smaller. So the brush, every brush will feel slightly different. Yeah, okay. You can pick a color using your fingers and then continue. Okay. Yeah, maybe that's like a hard brush. Maybe cancel that. Okay, normally with a character like this, I mean, vase with a character, I like to have a black color at the center. That's actually hollow your eyeballs. And then give it a white color. Yeah, something like that. And for the eyebrow, let's do the oh, actually I still okay, this is, yeah, black color, that's alright. You can also add a mustache there. Fancy looking mustache. Okay, continue. For the nose. So this is using different brush, so we have different result. Maybe I don't quite like that. Interesting, it's still dark color. Calligraphy, artistic. Oh yeah, this brush is actually really cool. Taralea, yeah, Taralea is a really cool brush. I like it. The mesh is a little bit broken there. That's okay. So very quickly we have a vase with characters, and we can just simply export it as AR if you want to try it. Let's save this. Actually, we don't need to save it, it's already saved. If I share as USDZ, it's exporting, save the files. I can actually just airdrop it. Oh, we can use 3D and preview. Okay, whoa, sorry, very messy desk. So this is it in AR. It's actually using the lighting from Procreate. So if you're happy with this, you can actually export this out and send it back to Nomad Sculpt if you want to do further sculpting. as long you didn't subdivide or you didn't add mesh, you can smooth around the eyes. Let's try actually doing that. Share as USDZ or OBJ. It's easier if you actually send it to Blender and back to Nomad Sculpt, believe it or not. Let's try anyway. Share texture, save to files, create a new project. Type this. Save on the folder called Vase. And I think if you go to the files, here we have the texture there. Share the model as OBJ. Save to files. Save it into folder. Okay, we might, oh, it's actually saving everything. Okay, with the material. All right, so let's get back to Nomad. Maybe we can bring to the scenes, create new scenes. Okay, import, let's say Vase, select 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, open. Okay, I think we have our thingy with the texture. Okay, nice, cool. Now back in Nomad, we can do some sculpting, maybe smooth around this area. Clay, okay, do some clay. You're not gonna be adding more into this, but you can still sculpt it. This is really a lot of fun. It seems it doesn't need to be complicated. Whoa, okay, let's turn off symmetry. Gonna make this uneven. So it's just like deforming, adjusting. You can actually even, you can animate this a little bit, add a layer, and I think you can make this, get a bit of expression happening. Of course, you probably want to do this inside Blender, animating with bones, so you can you can deform it maybe with blend shapes or shape keys. Okay, you adjust this. Just don't go too crazy. Okay, with the latest version of Procreate, you can bring in back the texture, but you cannot do the texturing here, but you can do like a nice rendering, post-process, ambient occlusion, depth of field if you want to. Okay, adjust the blur, the bloom. Oh yeah, I forgot, I didn't add a light. Okay, so this is probably something that you want to do in Blender, because doing it inside Nomad Sculpt, it's cool, but it just feels different. But you can actually do the rendering in Nomad this way. okay with the light. Okay, we can create another light, and we can adjust. We can turn this into point light. Oops, wow, so bright. Give different color. I think it's kind of nice. Anyway, we can do a spin. So this is one way to display your work. Oops, I accidentally move it. Just be careful with that. Undo, undo. If we export this as GLTF, I think it should work with the texture. I'm sending it to my Mac. File, import GLTF. It brings the light and also the directional light, which is pretty cool, you know. GLTF, USDZ, and we have our character, of course. Right click, shade smooth. This guy is probably triangulated because it's from Nomad Sculpt or Procreate. In Blender you can try to quad. We can turn it back into quad, and then you can delete merge by distance. So yeah, there's usually that. I know that we actually have shape keys from Procreate, so you can animate it inside Blender. That's cool. I'm gonna set a keyframe, animate. Can go higher. Oops, no. Keyframe again. Yes, we have a bit of animations, just super basic one. So yeah, what else? Inside Blender, you can check the shader, okay, and then you can play around with metalness, roughness, and I think we are missing some of the texture from Procreate, but it's okay. We can always adjust things over here. I just turn on transmissions and maybe I'll play around with alpha. Turn on ambient occlusion, bloom, screen space reflections. So we can kind of make this transparent. So we get something pretty decent happening there with the vase. So anyway, that's the 3D therapy. Maybe I've gone too far and gone too complex at some point, but yeah, Nomad Sculpt, Procreate, and then Blender. It's a lot of fun. Anyway, so hopefully you find this useful. Thanks again for tuning in. Try this yourself. If I think every Blender artist should have an iPad Pro. Highly recommended. So you can do like a 3D therapy. You can do it with Blender and like Wacom tablet, but I think iPad Pro is just amazing. All right, so thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.